I am J.R. Richardson. I am with Bellevue University and the Nebraska Military Veterans or Military Vietnam Veterans Memorial Foundation. We are here at the Nebraska Vietnam Veterans 38th Annual Reunion here in Omaha, Nebraska at the Marriott, Regency Marriott. I'm here with Purcell.
Yes, Purcell.
And Purcell is a Vietnam veteran who is willing to share his experience and story. Purcell, I want to ask you to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your growing up and your background.
Okay, well, my name is Purcell Crowder. I'm actually from very rural North Carolina. I have 10 brothers and sisters. We grew up farming, logging, and pretty much grew our what we ate, we grew. And make me think about going to the store now, paying for organic, and that was all that I knew growing up. And
where were you born?
I was born in Royal. I was, delivered by what they call the woman that come around all the time. And I was born in where I'm from. There's not even really any towns nearby, so I was born at home and in a white store community, and that's near Peachland, North Carolina.
And what's your birthday?
My birthday is 5/24/51.
Okay.
Right.
So how did you come about ending up in the military?
Well, that was one of the things that I got my greetings from the President of the United States. Be here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we'll have a bus there to pick you up.
So you were drafted.
Oh yes, I was drafted.
All right, so pulled away from your good food, probably mom's cooking's good, and put into the United States Army.
Right.
Where did you go to basic training at?
I went to basic training, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and then I went for AIT, Fort Gordon, Georgia, and we used to call it Disguster. And yeah, that was about it. Yeah, Fort Gordon.
And what was your MOS?
Oh, my MOS was 95B, military police.
All right. What did you do after your technical school, after your AIT?
After AIT, they gave us our 15-day en route to Fort Lewis, Washington, and from there on to Vietnam.
So when you landed in Vietnam,
oh yeah.
Let's just take me back to that moment when you got off the plane. What was that like?
Well, when you got off the plane, you walked off with your duffel bag, and you got your duffel bag, and they sent you to a transit hooch, and once you get off the plane, the heat hits you, and from there, I think you sweat from that time on till it was time to come home, right? And I think that we had taken all of these shots, and they gave us all of these pills to take, the malaria pills, the salt pills, and everything. And then they took us in for a briefing. in-country briefing, and we didn't have any idea where we was going from there. But we had to stay there overnight, and they showed us all of these bunkers around the barracks and everything. Said, well, if we get incoming at night, this is where you would run to. Well, of course, we got incoming that night, and you think we could find, but we'd have probably been dead by the time we found them bunkers again, running around out in the dark.
So you got incoming on the very first night?
My very first night in country.
Well, welcome to Vietnam.
Yeah, I think they planned it that way. So, yep.
So your MOS as a military police, how did that play out when you landed in country?
Well, you know,
Did you give any traffic tickets?
Oh no, our goal was to take care of the generals and run convoys and control who get in and off posts and live on fire bases. I lived on fire base Mace for months.
Real quick, so that we don't get past too far past the arrival in Vietnam, many of the people talk about the smell.
Yeah, yes, the smell. Yeah. What was it? That Nook Mom smell, that fishy smell, that and it's like a decaying body smell. When it first
Like being on the water's edge after tide, I call it low tide smell.
Right.
Because the low tide goes out and all the dead stuff is there.
Right.
Yeah. And then after your transit and you arrived there, what part of the country did they end up sending you to?
Okay, then they threw us on Chinooks, and I don't know if it was true or not, but we was headed back to Benoit, and the pilot said, hey, it look like we're getting a couple of incoming. So at the time, I was scared as hell anyway. So we went to Benoit and got signed in, and from there, they started giving you whatever duty they wanted to give you. And being a newbie, and what they got, and all the girls calling us cherry boys and all kinds of stuff like that. And of course, you scared anyway. And being a newbie, you always got the jobs that anybody that been there a while,
They didn't want to.
they didn't want to do it. And if it was the dangerous, how you say, the shorter you got, the more cautious you got.
Right.
So,
What was your best day in Vietnam?
my best day in Vietnam was, I think it was when we come back from the fire base and we got 3 days R&R in Vong Tao.
What'd you do?
Drink, stay with a lot of girls, and ended up 3 days. Pretty much drunk fest for 3 days, and then back to the drawing board.
Just let off steam.
Yeah, just let off steam. Whereas most people, because we was transitioning back from a fire base to Benoit, so it was our very first break we ever had without having some type of a duty going on.
So, best days are always easy to talk about. Is there a worst day that you remember?
Some of my worst days, I had several worst days. seeing little kids get blown up. One of my worst days that I can't get out of my head is, we kids was out playing on the perimeter, and the dud rounds and everything that didn't go off. He picked up, I guess he got blown up by one or a mine or something. And the only thing that we actually do is put some band-aids on them and take them back to the village that they probably come from, and you had to go back and meet the village elder and try to explain everything to him. But then you just basically turned your back on him and said, "See ya."
So no other medical assistance or anything like that?
Not from us. Basically what they said, you shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Right.
Right.
I would imagine there was a lot of that happening.
Right. That was all the time.
Because a lot of that was years and years in the making too.
Right, it was.
So, did you have some close friends that were stationed with you there?
Oh yeah, that's why I am at this convention, because about 3 years ago, Robert Cross, some kind of way, he found Sammy. Sammy called him. Sammy had somebody. They found me on Facebook, and for the last 3 years, this is an annual event, and we look forward to it wholeheartedly.
And I got a chance to meet a couple of your friends, and
right.
That's pretty neat.
Right.
To be able to do that. Now, are you involved with some veteran activities back in North Carolina?
No, well, actually, I live in Maryland now,
Okay.
so I wasn't. Let me tell you what. The way I feel about it, until I started hooking up with these guys, I wanted nothing to do with the government, with VA, or anything like that, because I feel like they just basically turned their back on us. And since then, I am using the facilities. I went in and got my disabilities, which I wasn't even aware of that I had, especially the PTSD and stuff like that. And I go to a couple of veterans events, and since I live so close to DC, I go down and people come into town and everything. I take them down to the wall and everything, and have a attachment for the Korean memorial too, because all of my uncles was there as well.
How about siblings? Did any of your siblings go into the military?
Oh yeah, well I was the first one out of 11 that went. After that, how you say, we were rural, so you can't even imagine how rural we were. So my brother, one of my brothers went to the Marines. My youngest sister, she went to the Army, and my baby brother, he joined the Air Force. And after that, all of my nieces and nephews and everybody else, pretty much everybody have been serving in some sort of way since.
So did you start all that, or was your parents also in service?
No, my parents was basically, until we moved to the family property, we were sharecroppers.
Okay. So you started all that.
Right.
How neat is that?
Well, they give me credit for it, but hey, I got drafted. And what was so wild about it, my mother, she would watch the television, and she knew what my draft number was and everything, and then she would she knew before I did that I had got drafted.
Yeah.
And then she also kept her eye on the casualty count and everything else. Yeah, that was.
It became a part of the evening news.
Right.
The routine of the thing that everybody did at the end of the day.
Right. That was her thing. And you say she was making sure that she didn't see a military vehicle pull up, because a couple of my first cousins, they was Marines, and a couple of my classmates and everything, they came back totally berserk. One of them killed somebody, and another, it was just
Very difficult transition.
Very difficult. And
So, what about your transition? Was there anything else in country that you wanted to share because of your responsibilities as a military police?
yeah, well, how you say? We was we had to go out and secure the helicopters and all kinds of stuff like that. And one day we was going, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for a 50-gallon drum. And we was going out, the round landed in the drum. Somebody threw a grenade or something in the drum, and it deflected the blast. And we was about here from there, but the concussion knocked you over,
Right.
Right. And then a couple of times we were there with the helicopters and everything, and to this day, we don't even know how that happened, but the guy was loading rockets and everything, and it fired and went through him. I had to take him out of there with the medevac him with the rocket in him, and we had a couple of things that we had to go out and secure. It was always fishy because you could have got ambushed and everything else. And when we ran those convoys and everything, if you was in the road, well, when you see a convoy coming, you better get out of the road. Otherwise, everybody gonna get run over, and everybody behind you gonna run you over.
Yeah.
So, no stops.
All right. So before we go home, I want to. Do you know or do you have a favorite song that you listened to while you were in country? It resonated right. It was either from home or it was your favorite musician.
Yeah.
But it was your favorite song while you were in country.
Grandma Payne.
Grandma.
Hey, can't think of who it was, but we would.
And it's called Grandma
Payne.
Payne.
Payne, yeah.
I gotta listen to it.
Oh yeah.
But you don't remember who sang it?
I know exactly who sang it, but it won't come to my mind
Gotcha.
right now.
I'm curious, so thanks for sharing that because especially I spent years down south in Charleston when I first went in service.
Right.
And just I love the food the most.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of food, what food did you miss the most while you were over there?
Oh my goodness, how you say it? We always had a big Sunday dinner, and like I said, we would go out. My mom would say, "Go out there and get me about 3 or 4 of those pullets of the young chickens."
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So we'd go out there and get them. Get my sisters and everything would clean them up, and we would have the big Sunday dinner, everything fresh out of the garden, beans, squash, hair, It was what we knew.
Home cooking.
Right.
Home style cooking.
Home style cooking.
All right. So as you were thinking of home style cooking again, you're getting ready to leave. What was leaving Vietnam like?
Well, leaving Vietnam was kind of joyful. I thought I was going back home to have a wonderful life, and how you say you get back home, everybody think you're a little bit crazy. And also uh, uh, people really didn't give a crap whether you had been to war or not. And some of them didn't even know you had gone. And then, you know, you thought you had a little girlfriend or something before you went over there. You got all the Dear John letters and kind of stuff like that, so, you know. And coming back home, where we were, there really wasn't much opportunity or jobs there. I tried working in textile, you know, and they would just lay you off and everything. So one day, and the good thing about it is I knew how to drive big trucks. So I did that for a while, tried to get on the police department, tried to join the state troopers, all of that, and none of that worked out. And one day I went to the pool room, the recruiter was in there, and he was telling me, oh yeah, we need you guys back in, blah, 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 blah. And this was just after they had stopped the draft. And I went back in service and got stationed at Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg?
Oh yeah. And from there it was a whirlwind.
And what did you do the second time around? Were you the police officer still?
Yeah, I was a
Military
police officer. Yeah. And then I got into the PRP program. And, you know, you can't really talk a whole lot about that stuff, but, you know, you had to go see the shrink every 6 months so they could verify that you was crazy enough to do the job. Yeah. So I did that and went to Korea, Puerto Rico, all kinds. I went all over. I've traveled everywhere.
How many years in the Army?
A total of 13.
13.
Right. I didn't make it to retirement. I got busted with the drugs and all of that other stuff. And when I went to the E7 board, they said, oh yeah, we're gonna give you a bar to re-enlistment. So I had a top secret clearance and everything. So, and Ross Perot was hiring, so started out with him.
So you were working with Ross Perot?
Oh yeah, him and Jay Chadbourne and all of those guys.
Uh-huh.
And those are those guys that I had to take care of.
What did you do for them?
For them, I was their security, pretty much keeping the media away and making sure that nobody messed with them. And how you say, working for Ross Perot, it was almost, when you go in there, it was just like going back into the military. Everybody was military, sergeant major. The only difference was you was getting paid as a civilian.
Right.
And then from that, I we had as many weapons there as we had in Vietnam.
Now you're working for him for his campaign, or were you working for him? For his
I was working for his company, EDS.
EDS.
Right.
And how long did you work for them?
Until, the company transitioned 50 times, about 5 or 6 times. So I retired last June.
So you worked with them all the way through?
Yeah, but I started out as the personal security, and by the time I got out, I was like analyst in the IT department.
Very cool.
Oh yeah,
So how did your military experience help you in that endeavor? You know, getting the job, doing
that was 100% related. You didn't get in unless you had military experience.
Very, very cool. I know that Ross Perot was Navy himself.
Oh yeah. And then we got a bunch of Marines.
I'm just trying to catch up here. Now let's go back to the family. When'd you get married?
First this is my second marriage now. My first marriage
The
was
practice one.
Yeah, the practice one.
Yeah.
The one that I paid the most for.
Well, it costs to practice.
Oh yeah. I met this girl right after I had come home from Vietnam, and she latched on to me, and how you say, we went through some wonderful stuff. And when I said I couldn't just sit around and do nothing, so I went back in service. And next thing I know, it was all her idea, and we were married. She went to Fort Bragg with me too, so, but that didn't last no more than, after 6 months we was on the rocks anyway. But,
and do you attribute, and I'm not fishing for answers, I'm just looking because divorce rate in the military is high, we all know that.
Right.
But do you attribute that to the stresses and
right.
the ups and downs with military service?
Right, 100%.
Okay.
I can assure you that's what it was. Being at Fort Bragg, you might be stationed there, but you may not see the place for no more than 2 or 3 months out of the year, because you was always gone somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have children with your first wife or your second?
I had children with my first wife. I have a son and daughter.
And have either one of them followed your footsteps?
No, they two. No.
Okay.
I tried
you said your cousins did.
Right. Yeah. My family, basically, pretty much everybody. That's one of the things that we encourage everybody to do, to just get away and say, look, there's different stuff out here other than what we are doing here, chicken farmers, or, like I said, I had never been anywhere until I got drafted.
Now, were you out of the service when you married your real wife?
Yeah, I was out of the service. Right. And
she's still with you now?
She I can't get rid of her.
Did she join you on this venture?
Oh yeah, she's here.
How wonderful.
Oh yeah, she just look at us like,
you're crazy.
Right, wow. And she loves it.
Well, I imagine she's very proud of you.
Right.
To see and know and meet people that you've served with or served in similar situations with.
And you can come here, everybody speak the same language, pretty much.
Great way to put it. Yeah.
Right. They pretty much are understood feeling, basically.
So how about when you came home, and I'm not looking for it to create, because I know everybody's experience was different. Did you experience the first time you came home that protesting and the animosity that a lot of people had toward service members?
Yeah, and in fact, it was to the point where you didn't even discuss that you even had. You was in denial for years that you was even involved with it, and some of the people everybody had was running around at that time, peace signs and this and protesting how you say. And I grew up during the segregated school years, and it was totally different.
Right. And being in the Deep South as well, it would have been difficult times to go from one quagmire to another.
Right.
Probably very blessed to be in such a rural area.
Right.
Yeah. given the times. So as we get closer to the end here, now you get a chance to talk to your grandkids, and you get a chance to talk to your nieces and nephews, and the neighbor down the street, and the college student doing research. What would you tell them about about your overall experience in the military?
Well,
As some of them even maybe consider serving their country.
right. Well, how you say? Well, for my siblings and everybody, and nieces and nephews, it was one hell of a stepping stone from not knowing that there was a whole different world out there. And I fully encourage everybody to step out and use it, especially use your GI Bill. To get to, if you don't have no other way, you can use that to get your education with and everything. That's what I used until they said, oh, you're a Vietnam era vet. You don't get no more benefits. So I fully encourage everybody to at least give it a shot.
A lot of people feel that education is certainly an equalizer,
Right.
and can allow you, as long as you don't use it as a rite of passage,
Right.
you use it as a product to the ladder so that you can get on that next rung.
Right.
So I think that's a good thing of encouragement.
Right.
Well, we are very proud to be able to sit with you here. This is not a conclusion. Everybody that we interview from the Nebraska Vietnam Veterans organization and the Memorial Foundation, we are very, very honestly establishing a relationship with you. As we move towards moving forward, you certainly are able to put your story in our park, even though you're from Maryland right now. But we'll talk about that on how we use your story.
Right.
And the most important thing about our time visiting with you is not only do we get to learn from your experience and honor that experience,
Right.
but others will be able to learn from it too. And our thoughts are that, and my thought is, so that I don't speak for people that might not agree with me, it's a lot harder to tear something down when you know why people put it up to begin with.
Right.
And we are very proud to create this monument for our men and women that served during that Vietnam era and in country in such difficult times.
Right.
And you paved the way for guys like myself and Matt, because all my supervisors were Vietnam or Vietnam era veterans, all
Right.
of them, because we were right behind.
Right.
I mean, you can see the gray, so,
Right.
so I'm a little bit younger, a little
Yeah.
bit better looking, but not much.
Yeah. Okay.
But we do thank you in all sincerity for you sharing this time with us.
Okay,
Hope you
well,
enjoy
thank you.
Nebraska while you're here, and have a safe journey back home.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that we'll stay in touch. You'll have our contact number, because we hope to be able to include you in as much as we can, especially since your friends are right here too.
Right.
How neat is that? So thank you.
Hey,
very
yeah,
much.
that's the best